If there's a consistent shortcoming that either I notice in game or in film from the weekend before, then a lot of the time that'll be the key component. Last couple weeks, it's been a lot of defensive zone positioning that we've been trying to clean up, and we made a lot of strides, but definitely still on the docket for one of the main things. But it's a ever-changing themes as we go. We're tweaking some of the personnel on the power play units, so we'll probably freshen up, making sure those guys are familiar with what they're working on and things like that. With our group, we've got a full 30, so it is definitely a challenge to try to make sure you're checking in with everybody and making sure everybody's getting good reps in everything that we do. But I think that building the relationships with the guys that I can kind of quick check in with guys every once in a while is good. Maybe even if it's not practice by practice, it's at least week by week that I'm checking in with everybody to make sure guys are getting the attention they need and getting what they need out of practice. One thing I really think is the basis for my philosophy as a coach is just my relationships. And so I think building a good rapport with everybody from the jump, keeping open dialogue in the locker room and amongst the guys. And we really try to cultivate that early, where as long as the tone's right, we want guys communicating and helping each other out. And if somebody else sees something, going back to the previous question, we got a lot of guys to try to keep an eye on. So I trust the guys to make sure that they're kind of policing each other, and if they see something that they feel like they could be helpful with, just encouraging that communication early and often, I think, is the big key. There's a lot of guys that are going to be getting reps in practice that won't necessarily have a sweater on the weekend. So those guys are really pushing the envelope and keeping everybody honest, and I think it's just a compounding effect. If everybody's working hard, then it makes everybody else work a little harder. And I think it's important on the coaching side to keep that communication up, so you're realizing the guys that aren't necessarily in the lineup all the time, you got to make sure you're pumping their tires and making sure they're aware that you're noticing the effort that these are. I think hockey, you want to look for some of that, and if there's some weaknesses you can exploit or some strengths that you need to caution the team going into, I think it's good. But I think I do a little more of that in team meetings and in film than I do so much in practice. In the beginning of the year before we're playing games, that's all pretty well regimented coming in, where I know I need to teach these things early on. Everybody's getting together for the first time. We don't have any games in the near future. Once you get into games, a lot of it's that kind of trial and error, figuring out where our weaknesses are and cleaning those up. So I think that's a really big piece of it. So I think that later it's going to be a big deal, week in and week out, finding what we're missing and making sure we're working on those things.